All right. So thank you so much for bending your schedules over here. So we find ourselves right on the cusp, but this week's Torah portion is what we call Parshas Emor. That's the name of the Torah portion. And it will mostly the beginning of it. It has a few themes, but it starts off talking about the Kohanim. We got Larry in the house. We got a Kohen in the house. So it talks with the Kohanim and the special laws that apply to the Kohanim. All right, Larry's got some special laws. I'll reveal some of them tonight. Larry, we could discuss it another time. Set you up with a Kohen partner, and you guys can commiserate, and you guys can make fun of us, lowly Israelites, and this is what's up. But for real, at the end of then the Torah portion continues, and really this spends a lot of time talking about the Jewish holidays. It goes through the big three. Really more than that, it goes through Yom Kippur also a little bit, which we learned more about Yom Kippur last Torah portion. So, but it does go through the big holidays, and it obviously tells a little about counting the Omer, which we're in the middle of doing, and it gets us for Shavuos, which is all good prep for what we're up to. What it does not talk about is Lag BaOmer, which is actually tomorrow night. That's Thursday night. Friday is what we call Lag BaOmer, the 33rd day of the Omer. We currently are, at least in Memphis, Tennessee, we are currently living in the 31st day of the Omer. That's where we're hanging out right now. So after sundown, they'll switch to the next day, and then we start to count the 33rd day, which will be Thursday night, Friday. Obviously, the uniqueness of Lag BaOmer, we've discussed this in the past, and an email will come out about it. Don't worry. Talks about how it's the time where one of Rabbi Akiva's second set of students, when he had his big five, his starting five. There's right now, this should be a merit for the I don't want to waste our merits on the Celtics, but it should be a good game for the Celtics. It's a good series, right, Jeffrey? But the starting five, be quiet. Okay. So the starting five, and one of those starting five was Rebbe Shimon Bar Yochai. Rebbe Shimon Bar Yochai was the one when he passed away, with a fiery consumption, exactly consumed his home, and he was surrounded by this spiritual fire of, sharing with the world, the inner secrets of the Torah, the deeper level of Kabbalah, the different level, different aspects of the Torah that, that were not revealed at all. He did some aspect of revealing it and bringing it down into this world. So that's really what part of what we celebrate on Lag BaOmer. We also celebrate on Lag BaOmer the fact that Rabbi Akiva's students did not die on that time. He had 24,000 students that were passing away. On the 33rd day is really when there was no more passing away of the students at that point. So that's the other thing. The theme of the weekend is going to be Lag BaOmer, because it goes from a Friday straight into a Shabbos. So there'll be that theme of the weekend. If you see around, people are talking about Lag BaOmer. That's why they're talking about it. Traditionally at Mount Meron, which we drove by, Larry and Jeffrey, we drove near Meron as we went as we traveled from Tiberias, we were heading up north towards Sfat. We drove right by Meron, right where Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai is buried. So that is the mountain turns into like one big fire. They celebrate it with lots of bonfires and dancing and singing, and it's really a tremendously powerful day. We probably would call it a mini holiday. We want to call it like the holidays of the Torah portion, but there are certain energies and certain strengths that are shared on that day. So that's the weekend for you. That's the theme of the weekend. I wanted to share something that a friend of mine shared this email with me years ago, and I don't know if I ever actually read it or not. And then I was looking for something to share with the community here the other day, and I bumped into this email from a friend of mine who shared. I'm just going to open up this over here. I get the beginning Torah portion, the beginning words over here. The Torah portion opens up with an interesting language. It opens up where Moshe approaches. Hashem says to Moshe, you need to go ahead and approach the Kohanim. Here we go. I got it. It says, Vayomer Hashem al Moshe. And Hashem said to Moshe, Emor el HaKohanim, say to the Kohanim, B'nei Aharon, the children of Aharon, right? Children of Aaron, the high priest. And it says to say to them, and then it says, Ve'amarta aleihem, and you shall say to them, Lenefesh, lo yitama ba'ambav. right? To a soul, they should not allow themselves to become spiritually impure, which talks about the laws of special Kohanic laws about whether or not they're allowed to go to cemeteries, they can go to funerals, come into contact with a dead body, special laws for a Kohen. But what the commentaries are bothered by is it has a double language over here where it says, you shall say and you shall say. So why is there a double you shall say over here, right? Nothing extra, nothing superfluous, nothing extra in the Torah. Let it just say, and Hashem said to Moshe, tell the Kohanim, the children of Aaron, that they shall not become impure to a soul that passes on. Why does it say to the Kohanim that you are the children of Aaron, comma, and say to them? There's two sayings over here. What's the extra sayings? So Rashi, our prime commentary on the Torah, Rashi says, this is a special warning or a special reminder for the adults, for the elders, the Gadolim, the big ones, that they should make sure to tell this over to the youngins. This should be a special type of handing it off from generation to generation. Tell over to your kids. Make sure, Kohanim, you have some unique special laws, so make sure that you tell this over to the youngins. Okay, that would be classic type of Rashi, simple understanding, basic idea of what's going on in the verses, called Pashut Pshat, the simple explanation. There's a commentary, the Chassam Sofer, and the Chassam Sofer says something very special, very unique. He says there's something very, very, a phenomenal lesson, not just for Kohanim, but really for all of us that's being expressed over here. What's the lesson? The lesson goes like this. When my Zaidi was growing up, so he came here in the 20s. He came here from Poland in the 1920s. And growing up as a Jew in the 20s and the 30s in America, if you were a Jew, there was a classic routine, unfortunately, that took place. You would come to work at a company, in the sweatshops. You'd come and you'd work, and Friday afternoon would be coming, and they make an announcement. We'll see everybody tomorrow. Don't forget, if you don't come to work tomorrow, then don't come to work on Sunday. There were no labor laws yet. All that didn't exist, and they knew that the Jews didn't work on Saturday. So what would happen is many Jewish people would have to make a very tough choice. Am I going to change my tradition, change what I've been doing in my whole life, the way that it's been, that we rested on the Saturday, right? I didn't work my regular job on Shabbos. Look, we're in America now. We got to do what America has, and very hard to find jobs in that time in America. So they had to make a choice. Do I not keep the Shabbos in the traditional sense that we kept it all these years, my family kept it all these years, or do I have to make the choice that I'm going to, or am I going to say I'm not going to have a job and I won't know if I'll get a new job? So a Yiddish language that used to go around was called Schwer zu sein a Yid, which means it's tough. It's tough to be a Jew, right? It's not easy. It's not easy to be a Jew. And that became a language that was shared in a lot of Jewish homes during the Depression and late 20s, 30s, perhaps probably going into the 40s also. This language, it was tough to be a Jew. One of the rabbis that came here from Russia, he passed away in the 80s, I think he passed away in 1985, I believe. He actually expressed that the reason why you saw a lot of traditional Judaism disappear during that generation from the Jewish people was because there was a negative vibe around being a Jew. Different than we're experiencing some of that now, but in a totally different sense. This wasn't fully anti-Semitic. This is, you guys want to be different, right? Everybody comes to work on Saturday. You think you get a day off, right? It was a different type of experience. Now, yes, there was anti-Semitism then also, right? So, but my Zaidi in particular, their family, it seems they did use that language, but they added an extra line. They said, Aber it's git to be a Yid. Even though it's tough to be a Jew, and it's not easy, but it's still so good to be a Jew. And the families that seem to add that line onto it, it shifted the whole gear and the whole view of Judaism, of involvement with Yiddishkeit. And it really shifted the gears for my Zaidi's family. My father was telling me that my Zaidi really said that this the fact that his parents and his relatives added that line on really kept them, engaged and excited and involved with their Judaism in a different way than a lot of his friends did. So when we look at this week's Torah portion, the opening over here we have the Kohanim are about to get unique laws that don't apply to all the Jewish people. So what's going to be the view of that, little Kohen boy, little cats, right? Little cats, what's going to happen over here? We're about to say that you are different than everybody else, and that you can't do what everybody else does because you're a Kohen. We're going to give you special laws. And that means you can't be like Chaim and like Rachel and like Tzipi and like Shmerel and pick your Seymour, right? You're not like everybody else. You are Mr. Katz. You are Mr. Kaplan, right? Pick your name, Schaefer, right? You're a Kohen. And you're about to get a set of laws that are going to limit some of the things that you can and cannot do in your life. And the truth is, when it comes to any of us, when it comes to how do we view mitzvos, how do we view the fact that as Jews, there are certain things, whether it's halachically that we don't do that, we just don't do that as a Jew, or whether it's not law bound, but rather traditionally as Jews, we don't do this, right? We've got a lot of those too, right? That's how we roll. And that's what keeps us who we are, keeps us special, keeps us unique, keeps us involved. But how do we view that? Is it a pain in the neck? Oh gosh, I have to do this. Man, I really want that, but it's Pesach, and there's a great something. It's Yom Kippur, and I think I should have listened to the story in the past. It's Yom Kippur, and my friend, there was a big, one of the 50 million the Who reunions took place on Yom Kippur one year in Baltimore, right near my friend's shul, and he's like, "Oh man, Hashem, I got to go into Kol Nidre versus go to the Who concert, man." Right? So how do we view our mitzvahs? So what the Torah is telling us over here is, listen, you got to go ahead, Moshe, when you tell over to these Kohanim, you tell them who they are. You guys are the grandchildren of Aaron, one of the most amazing people ever to walk this earth. You're not just Jews. You guys are not just, there's no average Jew, right? You're not just regular Jews, you guys are Kohanim. You have got something unique and special about you guys. You have a very unique role for the Jewish people. Now, listen, part of that role means that there are some responsibilities and things. You can't be like everybody else, but not because you can't be like everybody else. It's because of how special you are and how unique you are and the amazing opportunities that you have. That's why you have this special set of rules. So that's what Hashem is telling to Moshe. Say this over to them. Don't just tell them the laws. First, tell them who they are. You guys are Kohanim. You are B'nai Aaron. You guys are the children you're from that lineage. You're from the Aaron family. You're not just Jews. You're not just Jews. You're not just Yisraels or Levies. You guys are Kohanim. You're from Aaron. You are the peacemaker man. You are the high priest family. Now, once you know that about yourself, now let me tell you who you are and what comes with it, okay? And it's the same thing. This lesson certainly applies to us and the way that we view and connect with our Judaism, connect with our mitzvahs, connect with our Shabbos, connect with whatever it might be, the things that we don't do because we're Jewish, right? How we need to recognize about ourselves how awesome it is to be a Jew, how special it is to be a Jew. Yes, there's things we don't do. We got to be a mensch all the time. We got to behave. We got to deal with kvetching. We got to deal with the mother, right? These are things we got to worry about, right? As Jews, this is what it is. Everybody's watching. The rabbi wants to know my nose, and I can't wear that, and I can't do that, and I can't believe it, right? And all the expectations. And today, in a more serious sense, being a Jew is not always an easy thing. Some of us might want to hide the fact that we're Jews. I don't want people to know that I'm Jewish. I mean, I do. But other people don't want to, right? I'm going to step onto a college campus. I don't want them to know that I'm Jewish. It's not an easy thing. So really, we have to keep for ourselves a list of why it's so good to be a Jew, right? If we keep for ourselves a list as to why it's so good to be a Jew, then in the moments where we have to do something different than somebody else, right? We can take out that little list and say, oh, you know what? Well, we got matzo balls, and we got potato kugel, and we got cholent, and we have Pesach, and we have Yom Kippur, and we have, right, the list goes on. When we got, so many phenomenal actors are Jews, and the comedians are Jews, right? I mean, what would the world be like without us? I mean, goodness gracious, we control everything, right? So we have to think of all the things, the wonderful things that come along with it, and it gets balanced as part of that balance. But really, that's what the Torah is telling us, reminding us, we're not just people, we're not just humans, which would make us special enough. We are humans that are Jewish humans, right? We're a different breed. Along with that comes responsibility to ourselves and to the world. And along comes with that the beautiful opportunities, all the special mitzvahs, and all those amazing things that we have to connect to Hashem. And Larry's got an extra set of, extra mitzvahs that apply to them that don't apply to us. We got to make sure Larry's involved with those mitzvahs, right? Or make sure we give Larry one of our mitzvahs in this week's Torah report. We got to give. We were farmers. We'd have to give Larry certain things because he's the Kohen. So these are I think the major lesson of just the first line of the Torah portion. And this is a beautiful idea, I think, to keep in mind, and how to relate to our Judaism, how to relate to ourselves, and to remind us of how awesome it is. And let's keep this in mind as we travel through the rest of the Omer and get ready to head towards Shavuos, right? Head towards Shavuos, where we're going to reaccept the Torah on ourselves, and perhaps look at the way that we relate to the Torah and the mitzvahs and who we are as Jews, and work on that relationship with ourselves and with our community and with Hashem. And if we do that, take the few moments to write down a list of some of the things we love about Judaism. So then when we come to a moment where we are challenged or tested in our Judaism, we say, you know what? It's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. But God willing, we should merit to recognize that about ourselves and enjoy it, and not just have it be, oh, we have to do it. All right, that is the Torah portion for you, or at least the first line of the Torah portion for you. Any thoughts, questions, rebuttals? All right.
I don't know about you guys, but I feel like I've got a lot of extra responsibility all of a sudden.
Just a little. Put
it on the Larry.
No, I will tell you that from the time that I was young, I always kind of learned that you weren't supposed to go into a cemetery and that sort of thing. Now, as an adult, I have elected to, if I've had people in my life that have passed,